So yeah, first pregnancy. I worked through the entire pregnancy. And mind you, I didn't have a driver's license and no car, and still no friends, obviously. And no support, nobody was there. Besides, the father. And I was walking back and forth to and from work. And there were a couple of times where I could get somebody to take me home, maybe, but it was not as much as I really needed. But yeah, I even had a couple of times where one of my coworkers could pick me up too, and so that helped a lot. Um, they did what they could, and honestly, that much I was grateful for. But I was still walking back and forth all the way up until a month before my due date. And mind you, in between some of the, like from 6 months to the month that I took off before my due date, like I told the head pharmacist not to schedule me for certain times and, certain days. I told her I can't do it. She did it anyway. And I was forced to stay. And I was just like, I need the money because I'm trying to get as much money as I can to be able to make sure that I can pull my weight while I'm on maternity leave. And I'm sick. Like, if I don't go in, I don't get paid. I am sick more often than not. I am, like, if I throw up at work, I have to go home. They send me home. And I wasn't able to eat as much as I needed to. I wasn't able to drink as much as I needed to. She had me constantly on the registers dealing with people, getting yelled at and all of that stuff. And I also got a review, like an evaluation, where she was telling me that I'm not as optimistic as I was when I first started. Maybe because she was working me like a fucking slave. Like, I was staying late and I wasn't getting anything out of it. And I wasn't even getting paid more. I was making fucking $10 a fucking hour. Like, maybe 10.25. Not that that 25 really makes that much of a fucking difference. And my fucking rent went up to like 800 fucking dollars. And utilities was fucking stupidly fucking expensive because I had to pay for gas and electric, and the utilities were only in my name, and I was paying the utilities and half of rent that whole time. And mind you, I rarely bought gifts for my family for Christmas and their birthdays, so it was very rare that I did that. But the person that I was with at the time did it every time. Every birthday, every Christmas, and was always like short to the point where I had to cover them. And I was just like, it didn't even, I was so zombified and so focused on trying to finish school and to like do my schoolwork and do work. So much so, I completely, like, this is why I started doing like the vacation stuff. I had completely, like, shut down. I was so I did not play video games, which was my passion since I was introduced to it by my babysitter's son when I was in elementary school. That was my safe space because that was the time that I was allowed to be a kid, was being at my babysitter's house playing video games with her son. So I didn't realize that I had attached that, just being able to be a kid and nobody expecting anything from me but to just exist, to video games. And when I cut that off, I cut that part of me off too. So yeah, there was actually a point I wanted to reach out to her because I had memorized her name and her business, and I found it. And I mentioned it to my mom when I was in high school, like later on. And she's like, "Oh no, you don't do that. You can't reach out to people from their business. That's not professional." And she came up with some kind of fucking excuse. And now I fucking think that the real reason why we fucking moved was because she actually was an adult that liked me, that maybe could have highlighted some issues, or that maybe I could have confided in as a safe space, to being completely parentified. And it's just like, we're states away. Why does it matter now? But yeah, she's like, "Oh no, you don't do that. That's disrespectful," or some shit like that. And I was just like, wow, okay. So I don't get to, tell her how much of an impact, like, she had a really big positive impact on me. And that was the only, her house was the only place where I wasn't a parent. That was the only time in my life where I wasn't taking care of somebody. And I have been so depleted and so exhausted. I have not had a single moment of fucking peace, and that's all I've ever asked for. I never wanted to be rich. I never wanted to be famous. I never wanted anything but peace and to be left the fuck alone. And so, back to this. So, on those vacation times, I ended up conceiving, and so I was walking back and forth in heat and cold, fully pregnant, fully exhausted, just struggling to stay alive, because if I die, then our baby does too. Because by this point, I'm over it, all of it. And so I ended up getting written up because they would give us like 7 minutes, like 7 minutes before and 7 minutes after your time to like clock in. And I always used all 7 of those fucking minutes, and I got written up for it. Um, because the grace period is only supposed to be used as a grace period, not an every time thing. And when I told the person that was like the store manager that I was walking, so of course I'm gonna use the full 7 minutes. I'm walking and fully pregnant, and like they couldn't see. For some reason, people seem to like have this like. So yeah, for some reason, like, is there a word for like body dysmorphia? But it's when other people see you, because that seems to be the case, because nobody could see the pregnant belly. Now, mind you, in the office, it I was sitting down, and the scrubs I wore were like way oversized, and it was on purpose so that nobody could see my belly. And yeah, no. It was just crazy. So they were like surprised that I was pregnant, but still wrote me up anyway. And I'm just like, that's fucking absolutely fucking insane. So yeah, I had to go through that bullshit. Um, and then because I kept, the other reason why I was getting written up too is because I kept not showing up on days that I was scheduled, because I had to call them and let them know, "Hey, by the way, I'm not going to be able to come in. I'm going to the hospital." And they're like, "Oh, well, we need a doctor's note now." Because after so many, I guess, I have to get a doctor's note every time I go into the fucking hospital, which was often. I was literally walking on my way to work, and nobody was just like, "Hey, maybe you have a problem." But that's so fucking frustrating. So, yeah, I was going to the hospital damn near every time I tried to walk to work after a certain point, because I couldn't breathe and I couldn't go any further. And I would go halfway and I couldn't breathe anymore. And I had asthma, but I couldn't afford my fucking inhaler because it was too fucking expensive. And mind you, I'm working in a fucking pharmacy.